everybody, Jennifer Schaus here, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., and thanks for joining us in our webinar today. Happy New Year to everybody. This is the beginning of the federal government fiscal new year. It's obviously October 1st, and we've got a great lineup today. It's a mix of both government and industry, and we're going to hear about best practices, and we've got it segmented by topic. So we're going to dig into some of our slides here. We don't take questions throughout the webinar, but it is being recorded. We'll send out the recording as well as the link to the slides later this afternoon once we're able to convert the recording into a MP4 file. So before we get started, just want to tell you a little bit about us. We're based in downtown Washington, D.C., and provide a variety of services for companies that are selling to the federal government. We don't deal with state and local or education, just the federal market. And so our clients typically come to us for anything from market analysis reports, business development. If it makes sense for them, we'll help them get onto the GSA schedule and manage that contract. And then also that post-award kind of back office compliance is another piece of our service. We do have a newsletter that goes out every Monday, which is perhaps how you found out about the event today. And that reaches over 23,000 subscribers, most of which I'd say 90% are probably government contractors or are government contractors. We've got some service providers and then some government personnel as well who are subscribers. We've been putting webinars on for several years, and so we now have a library of over 450 complimentary government contracting webinars, and they cover topics on anything from GSA schedules to business development, and then a lot of the legal pieces such as bid protest, FOIA requests, a little bit of everything. So you can check out all of our recordings there on the YouTube channel. What we did in, just to rewind for a moment, in 2020, we covered every part of the FAR, which is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, and those were run through sequentially. So we started with FAR Part 1 in the first part of January and then ended with FAR Part 52 in December. This year, 2021, which has flown by, we're kind of mirroring that process, and we're covering the DFARS. Those are Wednesdays at 12 o'clock, complimentary, so we're more than halfway through that series. If you want to listen to any of the recordings, you can find them on our website as well as our YouTube channel. We've also got the second Friday of every month, a new, well, it was new for this year, which is the GovCon Live Q&A Cafe. It's the second Friday of every month. There is a small fee to attend, which is $35. If you use the discount code DFARS, you'll get a $15 discount. Next Wednesday, we wanted to mention we do have a special, it's complimentary webinar in our COVID contracting series, and it's the vaccination guidelines for contractors and subcontractors, which recently just came out. So you can find that link to register on our website under the event section. Next year, we're covering, in the same spirit as the FAR and the DFARS, the FAR supplements. It's a webinar series. We're going to have primarily government contracts attorneys who will go through basically the agency and the department nuances that they have within their own department or agency regarding contracting and procurement. And then on that corresponding Friday, we'll have the department and agency playbook series. We're doing that in conjunction with FedMine, Archies and Meehan, and their group. So they're going to cover some of the opportunities. We're also doing this in conjunction with the McLean Group, which is a merger and acquisition outfit, and we will have government representation on most of those webinars as well. Sponsorships are available. One more thing I wanted to note is a new series we're going to launch is called the GIP. It's the Government Industry Partners. And so basically it allows you to conduct a webinar with us. We will help promote it, help you curate it. We're going to host it, we'll record it, and then we'll post your webinar on our website, YouTube channel So you can do this as a 1, 2, or 3-part series, and so this will be all about your business. So it's like today you'll present in front of a live audience, and as I mentioned, you get the recording, the registration list. So if you're targeting government contractors, this is probably a good service for you. And I want to make sure that hopefully everybody can see my screen. And so again, that service, this Government Industry Partners webinar series, is allowing you to conduct a webinar with us. Okay, just to let you know, next Friday is this GovCon Live Q&A Cafe series that I mentioned. So every month is a different topic. Next Friday is covering set-asides. With the folks here you see on your screen, most people that are in the government contracting sector are probably familiar with these names. And then in November, the second Friday is November 12th, and we will cover pricing. And Marcia, I believe, is joining us later today as we talk about best practices for pricing. And then we'll round out December with mergers and acquisitions with these 4 panelists. You can sign up on our website for all of these. So just go to our website, go to the GovCon Live Q&A tab, and you'll find the links there to register. And again, we want to thank all of our sponsors who have made today's presentation possible. And next up, we're going to cover sales and capture. Actually, we've got 3 of our sponsors from this group. So let's go ahead and get started in the sales and capture section. First up is Anissa Miller from BIT Solutions. Again, they are one of our sponsors. Anissa, it's great to have you here with us. Just want to make sure you're not on mute or anything. Nope, you're good to go. So let me just pull up your 5 best practices here.
Thanks, Jennifer, and happy Friday to all of you. Nice to meet you virtually. As Jennifer said, I am Anissa Milner. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at Capture Exec Software, which is powered by BIT Solutions. A little bit about me. I have 20+ years working with the federal government and government contractors. I'm located in the heart of the DMV, headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland, where I live with my 17-year-old son. So nice to meet all of you. So here at Capture Exec, we have put together 5 best practices for the capture management process and sales process. And our goal is to help enable companies to establish the best repeatable process to help your business grow. So number 1 best practice is meet with those who know. So what do we mean by that, right? We want to meet with the right people at the right time. We as sellers get extremely excited when we book a meeting. Trust me, I have been there myself. But you want to make sure that you're booking meetings with the right people that are going to influence the opportunities that come out. Some examples of that could be a commanding officer, contracting officers, program managers, small business advocates. You want to make sure that you're starting to develop early these relationships with these key individuals and becoming their trusted advisors. Secondly, timing is everything. So you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions at the right time. You want to make sure that you go into these meetings prepared with deal shaping questions and that will help you shape the deal in the best possible light for your company. Know what you're going to ask before the meeting happens. Plan and prepare so that you can get the most value out of this meeting and bring the most value to your customers. We don't want to waste anyone's time. Your time is valuable and the customer's time is valuable as well. Third, we want to stay organized, right? So we've collected all this G2 or information that we're going to bring back to our executives and our proposal team. We really want to make sure that we have a central source of memory for all of this information. You need a really good capture management system to help you do that. You need to prepare for your gate reviews, gather intel for the proposal response, and make sure that it's all organized, not on sticky pads or in notebooks or Excel spreadsheets, but a central source of truth. Fourth, you want to build a winning team. You want to have the best team possible working together on these responses. You want to find companies that the government wants to work with and likes. You want to find companies that are experts at different parts of the delivery. You want to utilize a system that stores that information, so the different teaming partners that you've worked with in the past, notes on that experience, maybe feedback from other team members within your organization internally, and ratings for those different team members, so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel each time when looking for a teaming partner. Fifth and finally, you want to deliver a compelling response. So know information about the customer that other companies do not know. So here you're going to want to utilize best practice 1, meet with those who know, right? The right influencers. And 2, timing is everything. Make sure that you're meeting with them early on to develop that relationship, to become their trusted advisor, and to hopefully help them shape the solicitation. Have all that information ready for your writers to write that compelling response. Develop proposal themes ahead of time for your proposal team. So those are our best practices, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to share those with you today.
Great points, Anissa. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. And how do you create a capture management process that helps your business scale?
Right, great question. Thanks, Jennifer. As you all know by now, I represent Capture Exec Software. And so when you're using our software, all of the things above are possible. So you're meeting with those who know, you're able to document and keep track of that information in one centralized location. Timing is everything, right? You want to ask the right questions at the right time. You want to make sure you have those deal shaping questions easily available to you. You want to make sure that your team can collaborate internally, from the proper contacts to the proper intel on the opportunity to the proposal themes that you'll pass to your proposal teams. Some of our customer benefits have been that this really brings people together. It's helped build a repeatable, successful capture management or sales process that we utilize time and time again. So that's how you would develop a capture management process that would help your business scale.
Great. Thanks so much, Anissa, and thanks to you guys for sponsoring as well. You've got Anissa's contact information there, and thanks again to Bit Solutions.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks. Okay, next up, we've got Whitney Stoll over at CribWorks. Whitney, I see that you're on the line, so thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to move over to your best practices and give you the floor.
Great. Well, thank you, Jennifer, and happy Friday, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Just a quick background on CribWorks. We're a sales and business development consulting and advisory firm, and I really appreciate Jennifer providing this opportunity for us. So let's dive right in. Really want to look at this from a sales and business development and capture perspective. So pivot or perish. What do I really mean by that? And what I'm looking at is what did you and your organization really learn from 2020 and 2021, and how can you apply that going into 2022? Have you really adapted to the needs of your clients, looking at contracts to customer engagement, as well as your sales and captures? A lot of things have changed over this time, how you're actually communicating and talking with your customer. A lot of opportunities have been pushed, really maybe into this year, looking at how your customer is buying, what contracting vehicles you're going to be using, how have your rates been affected? Have you been working at home? Are you actually going to be in the office? Have you really dug into that on what is happening? You can't, just because of what's worked, in the past, might not carry into the future. And with your sales team, even your capture team, you can't just be pushing the close date of your opportunity in your CRM further out. You actually need to be doing your due diligence, because when the customer does want to buy, be like, all right, now the opportunity is approaching. You got to make sure you do your due diligence so you can plan to play with the opportunity. And you don't want to perish. You don't want to crumble. You got to be ready to pivot on the opportunities. Next one is hyper alignment with marketing. And Chris Brinker did a great job touching on this. is when you pitch and sell to your client, what you're doing needs to be aligned on your website and your social media, even before you're going to meet with your existing client or even a new client. You know, align your meetings, your offerings, even your past performance, but have high quality images and videos that can really drive your sales and captures. And I think this is really critical, because if you meet with a customer and you have a great meeting, they're going to go to Google, they're going to go to your website to make sure that you actually have that service or that product offering. If you don't, you know, you want to, how that relationship going to be able to grow? You know, Google is also your friend, but it's also your enemy. So you can improve your SEO, improve your website, improve what you do on online and your social media presence. Your website is also your friend and your enemy as well. You know, you need to treat them well to really be able to drive your performance and drive your sales. You know, so that's a very easy fix, but really work side by side with marketing, especially now that we're doing a lot of meetings on a virtual type platform. So moving on, having an effective small business subcontracting plan. You know, the Biden administration now moving forward is looking to do a lot more business with small businesses. So make sure you actually have an effective plan to reach out and build partnerships. You know, have a targeted list of prime contractors and agencies you want to reach out to. Do your due diligence on who you actually want to be working with. But also internally, you know, what past performance would be relevant to agencies and prime contractors that you want to be targeting? What are your clear value statements and your differentiators that a company would want, an agency or a prime contractor would actually want to work with you? You know, and promote your core products and your offerings. So not only do you provide value, but you can actually see why people would want to come and work with you. So I think having a small business plan would be very essential for you to be moving forward. Next, going on is to empower your sales and capture team, is really to encourage your team to be part of multiple networking groups, nonprofit boards within your respected agencies. I'm sorry, within your respected industries. I'm sorry. You know, this could be, if you're in the marketing, find some marketing boards to be a part of. Your sales team, if you're in infrastructure, or if you're in the Army or the Marines or the Navy, find boards to be a part of so you can really drive authentic relationships. Your companies might be a part of certain trades associations, but encourage your team to be a part of them as well, so you can really start to grow leads through there as well. I think that's a great way that I've found that you've been able to really build sales opportunities, teaming agreements as well. And lastly, I look at teams with support structures really win, and to financially support your sales leaders and your sales team by investing in outside counsel. And outside counsel can have a wide range. You have a lot of experts on this call today covering a variety of different aspects. So don't expect excellence without investing in them with the appropriate resources. You know, create a support system that they can actually go out and win opportunities. If you're expecting your sales managers or representatives to do everything from finding the lead to actually writing the proposal, you put a lot of weight on their shoulders. Get an effective team together to be able to help them really drive business. You look at sports teams, you know, there's sports teams that actually have effective teams behind them really be able to win. So those are kind of the 5 best practices I look at driving into 2022.
Great points, Whitney. Thank you so much. And what are a few ways to network and find new opportunities for business this upcoming fiscal year?
Sure. Here's a few areas that I look at. Trade associations, I think, are the great ways to really be able to build relationships. If you're not part of one, there's plenty, if it's either national level or down at a local level. I think being a part of your company should be a part of several, whether it's an 8A, or it's a small business, you know, get a part of several. You can be all cost-effective areas that you can definitely join, as well as you individually. So join different trade associations. Social media, I think, is a different, it's another location you can really find opportunities as well. LinkedIn, I think you can build off of as well, to looking at opportunities. GSA Subnet is another location. as well as looking at, industry liaisons, small business specialists, and prime contractors are always looking to engage with industry and be able to network and find new opportunities.
Awesome. Great job. I appreciate your time and sharing your expertise. Thanks, Whitney.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, next up we've got Alan Shipes from Bid Speed. And Alan, I believe you're on the line, so I'm going to move over to your best practices and let you kick it off. And we also want to thank you guys for sponsoring our event today. So thank you.
Hey, Jennifer, thanks a lot. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And I'm Alan Shipes with Bid Speed. And first I'll say everything that you're hearing today, I was just listening to several speakers before, is spot on. So there's a lot of great information here. So absorb this and put it to practice here. So these aren't just best practices from folks. I know a lot of the folks that are doing this have been doing this for a long time. So a lot of good experts. So congratulations, Jennifer, on pulling this together for everyone, and thank you. So I'll kind of key in on the practices from a logical standpoint as it relates to 2022 to continue on where Whitney left off, is establish the goals. I know Chris talked about that, Anissa talked about that, but you want to make sure you know where you want to go in this next year. We're day one, FY22 here. So spend some time. 1 and 2 really go together, reviewing the forecast, understanding what capability it is that you want to pursue the greatest sales of. Where do you want to expand the most at from a capability and services standpoint or product standpoint, and where do you want to expand at? And let the data that's out there tell you who's buying that product, who's buying that service. You can do that utilizing agency forecasts that are out there. Now, granted, agencies aren't really good at putting forecasts into a single location, because by law there is no one single location for an agency. There's no sam.gov for forecasting. There's no federal procurement data system for forecasting. So you got to take a look at systems like federal procurement data system and determine, okay, what agencies do I want to pursue? And what product do I want to sell? Obviously, you can start at your NAICS code or some keyword or key phrase to establish that, but establish that goal. Establish what is your revenue that you want to achieve, and if that revenue is, hey, I want to expand, $100,000 of new product sales or new services sales on X product or Y product, then go see who's been buying that product and look at their forecast and see what's on their forecast to buy that product. Now, that takes time, right? So, but not a lot of time. I'm talking about stuff you could do with 3 cups of coffee and an extended morning here. And there's several folks have mentioned, having systems in place to help you, right? There's a lot of .gov sites out there, but there's a lot of good systems out there that can help pull all this information together for you and make it easy as well. 3, 4, and 5 really kind of are repetitive. 3 really kind of is the break line here, preparing your response packages ahead of time. If you went and looked at 100 sources sought and 100 RFPs and you compared those across the board, you would find that sources sought and RFIs, that out of those 100, 85 to 90% of the information that is being asked of you to respond with is always there. So prepare or standardize your own response package ahead of time, right? So that gets you 85% down the road in responding. And then you can look at a case by case and see, okay, is the government asking for a unique question here that I should respond with? And same with RFP templates. If you looked at RFPs, same thing. If you compared 100 RFPs or RFQs, the guiding FARS such as 52212-1, you're going to see that probably 60 to 80% of the time. That's a wide gap, but that's the prevalent bar for establishing a compliant response package, right? And there's a lot you can do ahead of time to prep that. So versus waiting until the opportunity comes out and then trying to do it, you're able to focus on the opportunity itself versus administratively getting yourself ready. And there's a lot of folks and companies out there that can help you in preparing these packages and building what I'll call a gold standard package ahead of time that maybe you even go as far as to library your content. So if you're providing a service and that service is the same, right, your processes don't change, then maybe you go ahead and document that from a technical response standpoint, much like an ISO. I'm not talking about like an ISO process, but in similar, right? You can document that process and keep it in an RFP template, so you've got it there to use, and you're not having to recreate it every time. 4 and 5 here really go hand in hand. I think everybody today would say they've probably been to 100 conferences where the federal government stands up and says the best way for you to market your services to the federal government is to respond to sources, SOTs, and RFIs. That's the government basically screaming in a megaphone saying, hey, we need to know who can do this work out there. And the one mistake I think small businesses make especially is they go, well, I don't have time to respond to that because there's really no revenue attached to it and the RFP may be 6 months away, so I'll just wait for the RFP to come out. Well, once you make that decision to wait for the RFP come out, you automatically start putting yourself in a defensive position because now you don't have influence over that acquisition. And by law, in an 8-0 ruling in the Supreme Court, I think it was 2018, agencies cannot unilaterally say we've met our small business goals, so we don't have to look at sources SOTs from a small business, right? We can pick who we want. If they get 2 8As or they get 2 economically disadvantaged women-owned small business or 2 HUBZone or 2 SDVOSBs, then they have to, by law, consider that as a part of their acquisition strategy moving forward. So that is your best time to market your services and capability to the federal government, right? And I'll come back to federal government here in just a second in the question. But then follow up. The second biggest mistake is follow up. Companies, for whatever reason, and individuals there's a fear of calling that contracting officer or looking. There's an appearance problem, right? Of saying, well, I don't want to bug them too much because they may set me aside and not come back to me. That's absolutely false, right? So they're essentially, that's their job, right? To receive any questions that you need, and they're the quarterback internally in their organization to help manage that procurement. And so they're there, catching the information as it comes to them. So if you've got questions or you need to know a status of something, follow up. The worst thing that can happen to you is you have to leave a voicemail or you get no response from a contracting officer, or they're not going to put you on some list that says, oh, this person really follows up too much there. Obviously, they would really love to have a contractor that shows up and does the work and does follow up versus not. So don't be afraid to follow up there. So establish your goals, let the forecast and let the data tell you where to go, who to go to, what capabilities to sell, do some preparation up front and getting ready for FY22 as it relates to your response packages, meaning, set some time aside, get all the administrative stuff, clean up your cover letters, get everything ready to go minus content there. And then dig your heels in and start responding. If you do not get in the game and take a shot, you will never score a basket or a goal, or to use another sports analogy. You got to get in, you got to participate in order to get a contract coming back your way, or the opportunity for a contract coming your way. So, and then follow up there, Jennifer. So I'm ready for the question.
All right, thank you so much. So, Alan, what is the most challenging part of doing business with the government, and what can you recommend to our audience to move the sales needle in the positive direction?
Yeah, so the challenging part there, having been through that myself, so coming from the Air Force, going to large business, figuring out how to do it, starting my own business, eventually selling that business, right? I grew up in from the Air Force side, right? So the biggest for somebody that hasn't been in government or hasn't came from the service or something, sometimes the term government can be intimidating, right? there's sort of that fear of the large size that there is, and I can't do something, or I can't call somebody because you know, I might get in trouble, or I might look bad, or something. And I believe it was Chris Brinker that said, these are people trying to do a job. They're just on a different side of the fence. So they need you to follow up, to respond as bad as you want to respond there. So, you know, eliminate that fear. You know, take government, don't view it as government, view it as, hey, I've got a potential client at the Department of State, and their name is Jane, or their name is John, and I need to coordinate with them on this opportunity or this forecast. View them as a person, view them as a company, view the State Department as a company, and that's a division of the company that they're working with. So, so overcome that fear of government, and then just get in the game and start and do everything that everybody is saying here today is spot on.
Super. Thank you so much.
I wish. Thank you, and good luck to everybody this fiscal year.
Thank you. Last up in this section is another sponsor, David Al, from our friends over at the Federal Business Council. David, thank you so much for joining us. We've got your
Hi, Jennifer. How's my sound? Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect. You are good to go. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a sponsor. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you here for your best practices.
Great. Thanks. And I took a look at who was here today, and I know a lot of people personally that are here in the audience, and I think many of you have also experienced our some of our events, or many of our events, and I'm here to talk today about the power of government events as a marketing channel, and to develop new leads and message and brand awareness. And a lot of the speakers today mentioned getting to know the right people, connecting, asking questions, and really understanding who's who. And somebody mentioned the players at the layers and things like that. Events provide an extreme opportunity to make that happen, especially in the government marketplace. They're affinity based, meaning that you know you have something in common with the attendees, and the attendees are there for a reason, and you being there as a part of that connects you by affinity. Events are also permission based. So from a marketing point of view, instead of an interruption style marketing, events create an implied permission for you to connect with the attendee in the context of the event. So it provides an entree, or a door opener, if you will, and also provides relevance to your company, your message, and builds credibility, especially if you're using the event as a thought leadership tool. So a couple of different best practices that we've discovered, and I'm going to go a little bit off script here. The first one is leverage the trends. The trend being, the primary trend being, events have had to shift and pivot, to use someone else's word there, to a virtual format over the past 18 months. And many of you have probably participated in virtual events. This session that we're on today is a virtual event. Why have we gone in that direction? Well, by necessity, number one. And virtual events, though, offer a number of different things that in-person events don't offer, or don't offer as well. So there are some trade-offs. And when I talk about the trends, you know, 84%, to use another statistic, of executives believe that events are critical to company success, especially marketing events. And that really hasn't changed during the COVID era. What has changed is the way that gets done. So the second best practice is reset your expectations. When we first started doing virtual events and shifting from live events, the expectation was that we would duplicate the in-person experience in a virtual format. And I think all of us very quickly found out that that was a difficult challenge, if not impossible. And we had to understand what a virtual event is and how it worked for the purpose of lead generation, lead nurturing, thought leadership, creating relationships, getting people to connect and find one another and find the right people in the context of their message. So how did we make that happen? The best practice was, you know, really helping reset expectations for not only our customers on the government side and on the industry side, but also with ourselves, in understanding what an event is today, and moving forward, what a hybrid event will be going forward. So that more on that later. The other few best practices that I've got are more practical and things that we've learned by doing virtual events for the past 20 months. One is, and we see this all the time, think about the background. If you're going to be on video, if you're presenting, if you're running a virtual booth, does your background represent you? Is your lighting correct? What does your space look like? We've moved beyond functional, the camera, being on camera, to having more of a stage, more of a setup. So make sure that that's working, and that also lends a lot of credibility to your message. The other one, and this may sound simple, but it was something that we discovered and started to teach our participants. Use multiple browser windows when you're in a virtual event. And if you right click on any of the parts of a virtual event, you'll open up that section in a separate window. And that way you can keep all the things that are going on at one time up and on screen, instead of shifting between different segments of the same event and having to lose visibility. And for exhibitors, if you are participating in virtual events, leave your session open all day. As people come through the event and attendees are looking for things that support the reason that they're there, they will find you eventually. And when they do, you want to make sure that your material is there, and understand that it's a different type of booth than you would have if you were at a live event or a face-to-face event, but it's still just as important to have it set up the right way to answer the question that customers have. The last thing I'll say is, why are events a powerful tool? And events in the government especially are a powerful tool because events are important to the government itself. It's one of the primary ways that they share information. It's one of the primary ways that they engage with one another and also find new companies and new ideas to help them do their jobs. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Those are great points, and I'm a true believer in events, as you know. How's the transition to virtual events allowed FBC to help connect to industry and government during the past 2 years of COVID times?
Yeah, I touched on a couple of points, and I maybe answered a few things in my earlier points, but I will say that, like I said early on, I think we were all scrambling to find a way to just continue to deliver events as a marketing tool and as a communication tool. And we quickly learned how to drive engagement through digital means, how to help people find one another, how to create communities of interest within an event so that people can find each other not only during the event, but after the event. And so many of the speakers earlier mentioned, the importance of finding the right people, of creating relationships, of connecting. After you do your research and you find out, this is where I need to do business. And to go back to Mark Amtower's tool, agency-based marketing, virtual events actually help us create agency engagement at a very high level. There's higher participation, there's longer stay rates, and we have great experience and great results from that. But pivoting, so it took us a while to get to the point where we understood how to make that happen online. But now that was early on, for the past year and a half, it's been full steam ahead, and tens of thousands of govies are coming to FBC events, and we're working with many agencies to produce their internal events to reach out to industry. So there's a great connection point, and the pivot has been successful. Now as we move into hybrid, we'll see how that works, and we have some plans for that, but that's how we've done it. And thanks for having us here today, Jennifer.
Great. Thanks so much, David. The best way to reach you is the email for Anthony Greg and Wright, fbcinc.com.
Yes, Anthony, just to make sure that we are getting back to everybody immediately, if you send it to Anthony, it'll get to me, and I'll get right back to you.
Super. And thanks again for sponsoring. Great points that you made. And that rounds out our sales and capture session. Again, we want to thank all of our sponsors. Thanks again, everybody, and thanks to our sponsors.